Now. Before we get started with this version of Jamel Charlo, versus Castano, this is the second time these guys have fought. And what we're going to bring front and center to all of you over here in Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn is the effervescence of the fight game. With my over 30 years of experience, I'm going to really break down how do you really know how to compare and match these type fights up. So what we're going to do is go through a list of things that you got to pay close attention to in a rematch of this magnitude. This aligns these guys to not only be the top of that division, but this will be the name at the 154 division for the next 5 years. That person will be the one that proclaims who was the GOAT in this division in this era. So, but before we get started, we'd like to say thank you to the sponsors: Jab Juice, Brand Wizards, the best in building brands for the combat world and in boxing across the board. So, thanks again to those guys. But the topic at hand is going to be really, really interesting today. So, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to break down, and I need you all to really, contribute your overall boxing cachet to what we're about to do. It's real serious stuff. I'm going to tell you a couple of stories that will really make you think and give you more insight, but at the same time, what our real focus is that when you go into this fight, and it's on Showtime Championship Boxing tonight, you're going to have a different perspective. And most of you, when this show is done, you'll know who's going to win based upon what questions you have to ask yourself. And this helps you minimize how difficult it won't be to know who's going to actually win the fight. Because these are the things that you have to really pay attention to. And when you're paying attention to these things, you already know. The bottom line is there aren't any more factors that matter. So I'm going to give you all, I think there may be close to 10. Okay, 10. Let's just say 10. The first question you have to ask yourself when you're going into this fight and Castano versus Charlo 2, you got to think about this. What separates the two fighters? All right. Was it footwork? Was it power? Was it chin? Was it conditioning? Was it the best corners? What were the things that you have to look at? And I actually have it planned on the big boy right now, prepping for the fight tonight. But this is the thing that when you were watching, I want to know who you thought had the better footwork. Because when you get a rematch, what happens is you get to break down what flaws that person had and that they'd had in the other fights as well. So think about this. I want each of you who saw the fight, and if you didn't see the fight, make sure you go to YouTube after the fact and pull up Charlo versus Castano 1. All right. And then you watch just a couple of rounds, because what you see in one round, you're pretty much going to see in all of these rounds due to the styles of these guys. They both are bangers. The difference is when you look at Charlo, he's a banger. He does utilize a little more lateral footwork than Castano. Now, Castano has bigger punches. He's very violent to the body. And when you look at his style, he reminds me of Vargas, Fernando, ferocious Vargas. All right. So think about that. So, footwork, you got to give the nod, just a tip, to Charlo. When you talk about chins, Both of those guys were hurt in this fight. And when you look at both of these fighters, they were hitting each other with, both of them had knockout punches. Both of them got granite chins. No other fighter, and I'm talking about at 154, whether you call it junior middleweight or super welterweight, no other fighter that I know could have took either of those punches that hurt either both of those guys. I mean, Charlo hurt him, Castano, and Castano hurt Charlo in the very next round. Now, when you look at these things, it's so important that you really understand how important the understanding of having a chin and knowing that you have a coach in Derrick James who's fought before, understands how important to develop the neck and the jawline. So, but when you look at it, you can't make a good chin. You got to have a good chin, and then you take it up levels and do all the things to prevent you, because what happens is when you get knocked down, it's all about circulation being cut off behind the jawbone. All right, so right here, they're humongous. This is a streamline. These arteries, they will cut when they go back. They cut off circulation, short circuiting your legs, and that's what typically causes a knockdown. Sometimes it's power and force that does it, and other times it's the ringing of the eardrum, equilibrium. When your eardrum gets popped, it can totally shut your neurological functions down. So therefore, typically, guys, when they get knocked down, they can't get right back up because their legs are disconnected from their brain. And so it's a neural thing. So you got to understand this. When when I was coming up in the game, there was a guy who really, really hit hard. He used to knock guys out, literally knock them out with 16-ounce gloves on, headgear, and with the rules, don't try to knock someone out. And when you can still knock someone out, that's force, that's bone density. That's one of those things that Terrence Crawford got. You know, he can hit you and not even, I mean, I've seen him knock guys out. He swings hard, but um, that's a special kind of thing. Now, the next thing, when you look at the other thing that separates, who was more willing in this fight? Let me see my people over here. Let me see my people. Leave your name in the comment box if you know exactly. Over here on Instagram, my man said uh he's a boxer. He boxes at 160, but yeah, you're not really boxing. You're just trying to really get shine. But when you go up in there and you have a guy who's more willing in the fight to bring that smoke, you know, the reality is this, man. I got some berries to keep me satiated before this fight and during this broadcast. Y'all got to make sure that in some lemon water, if you're focusing on cleaning your body out, alkalinity, make sure you're drinking that lemon water. When I watched this fight, by the eighth round, I realized both of these guys were in very, very deep water. And if either one of them would have taken a step back, not laterally, I looked at Jamal Charlo. He stepped back more, but he turned the corner. What that means is when a guy's pressing you, you can't give him the confidence to make him feel like he's pushing you back, because that will give a guy confidence, and then that motivates him. That motivates his corner. So I saw Jamel Charlo turning the corner, and when he was turning the corner, he was setting his jab back up. He threw some good jabs, but Castano, his strength, when I said that he reminded me of Fernando Vargas, I meant that. ferocious Vargas was absolutely a monster. But this fight reminded me of him when Fernando Vargas fought Sugar Shane Mosley. He fought him twice. They stopped it because of his eye the first time. His eye looked, I mean, it was swollen like shut. It looked like he had gotten hit by a donkey kick. But that's Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley hits like a mule. So, but that was just interesting. This fight reminds me of that basically stylistically because Shane Mosley, he was a power boxer. Do you understand what that phrase means? I just want to throw that out there because most people will assume, the guy he just swings hard. No, it's a lot like what Canelo did last week. Someone said over here that he didn't have a game plan. He just wanted to knock the ball out. Power boxing is strategic though. And Shane Mosley is a power boxer. He depends on the power when it counts most. When he was in his heyday, he knew how to set up his power, right? He hit you with light shots, disguise the power shot, boom, good night. And so was Vargas, one of his victims. And that's what can happen when you find a guy who plays power boxing, understands how to set it up. Unlike Canelo last week, unlike Tio Lopez when he fought Cambosis, he threw everything with power. That's not power boxing. That's called desperation. That's called I can't switch the game up. I ain't got what it takes right now to what we call adapt in this situation. And when you're in that boat, the reality is that guy has built so much anxiety up in you that you're tense. Your mind can't even operate. Somebody left a comment on one of my skill reels. So, um, and he said that he could do what he saw, and a lot of you, or there are several of you who are probably one of those guys who think you can just walk into the boxing gym and you can just do it. And what I'm going to make clear to you is boxing is this. I'm gonna define it in a short paragraph. So I hope you listen because this is a takeaway for some of you who just don't understand what it equates to, what it feels like to go into a boxing ring with gloves on and another guy's across the ring. Imagine being in a winter storm on Mount Everest, which is the tallest mountain peak, and your car is skidding and you're going downhill and it's spinning, and over the edge is a mile drop. And imagine your passenger asking you to find another radio station. Before you bite your tongue off to try to respond, you can't because all of your anxiety is pushed from the bottom of your gut to the top of your head, and all you can see is your death happening. That's boxing. If you have never been in the boxing ring, expect that to be the feeling because you feel really big until you are lacing the gloves up, and then you look into the ring and the other guy who's done this before, everything is brand new. And so what happens is now your reality is something that you never experienced, but the other guy has. You don't know what it's like to step into the boxing ring. You don't know what it's like when you get on the boxing ring and it sinks and your legs get exhausted just from standing there and doing your first couple of hops. It's like your feet get put in concrete. All right. So these are the things that, and when you hear that bell ring, forget about it. You're going to do the most stupid thing you can think of, because you will not be the composed guy that you are when you're standing in the mirror shadow boxing, because now it's different. Now you're skidding down Mount Everest during a snowstorm with bald tires, and there is no railing. That feeling is the rush that happens. I see some of you guys are dropping questions, and I'm going to get right to it. My man, special shouts out to my man Irvin Forbes. Everything is beautiful, brother. It's good to see you. I hope you're doing really, really good in the ATL. All the blessings to you and your family. I'm down here in Miami. It's just beautiful down south. It's good to hear from you, brother. My man. The thing about it is this: when you take the time to really look at these guys, and you're talking about Canelo, when you get into a fight and you cannot operate like you typically can, because you usually have, let's just say you have a couple of things on the other guy. You have the footwork. Canelo's better boxer than everybody that he's been in the ring with, except Floyd Mayweather. He wasn't outboxed by Bivol. He was outboxed by Canelo because he didn't utilize the things that he could. But that's what happens when you're boxing a guy that's on another level from the guys that you fought, that can take what you throw and he can give it back to you. That's what's going to happen, man. That's what happened to Canelo. So that messed with him more than anything. Can he beat Bivol? No, because that same thing will happen again. He might be able to adjust and win. I don't know. When you look at why, it's the size, it's the real light heavyweight that you're in there against with the pedigree. And I think he's going to make adjustments just like Canelo will. And I think he'll feel more comfortable this time. And I think Canelo will still be up against the big frame, sturdy, amateur pedigree, 300 fights under the belt. He has no reason to be scared. And I know he won't take him light because it's Canelo and he felt that power. But let's make it clear. I'm going to equate all of that and wrap it all the way back around to Castano. When he fought this fight, and I'm going to get to you guys' questions because I see a lot of comments coming through. Matter of fact, I'll do that. Son of Apollo asked me, what's my prediction? Stay around for 15 minutes, and I'm going to give you the answer to what's going to happen on this fight. So if you want to go over to DraftKings, you can get the link down in the comment box and place your bet, because what I'm going to tell you is what's going to happen. My man, Kasi Smart. Excellent. Thank you, brother. Where you from? Hey, when you're down here in the comment box, leave where you're from. Over here on Instagram as well. Charlo made it look hard not staying behind the jab. Yeah. Well, you got a guy who will take the jab, he'll walk forward, and he'll throw to the body. So just remember, if somebody's throwing a jab to you, remember this. You just jab under it. If they're longer, if you fighting Tommy Hearn, you jab them to the solar plexus. You got to hit them directly under that feather rib or right to the center, right below the heart. Boom. Right where the rib cage split at the top. He'll slow down throwing that jab. That's how you handle that. You gotta know how to do it, and you gotta get trained. What's up, Marky Rodriguez? Who's very explosive? Put the name down in the comment box so I know exactly who you're talking about. Oh, Son of Apollo's over on YouTube. Special shouts out. Um, you been it since, yeah, absolutely. Dwayne Ellington must be one of my YouTube guys. My man. You see my boy Irv. My boy. It's good. Somebody putting there. Let me see. Dwayne, LOL. Most that think so find that oldest sparring partner on earth, you will undoubtedly take the L. That's right. It's a science. Most championship boxers couldn't beat their trainers. It's a science. It's a beautiful thing. I'll be in Miami end of the month with my dad and brother deep sea fishing. I'll holler. Yeah, Irv, message me. I'll give you my new number, champ. It's good to see you for real. That's my man. You always got. Let me sing. Miguel Martinez. Miguel, what's up, brother? That's one of my Mexican brothers right there. I know he be on the page. I appreciate you. You always stick your head out. That's my man. That's what I like. I don't like ghost followers. I like people to, show me they about that boxing life. You got these guys who creep around. They be on the page for years before I ever hear from them. That's kind of creepy. You know what I'm saying? Even if you don't say a lot, say something. When you can watch TV and the TV talk back, talk back. Thanks, Miguel. It's good to see you. Who you got tonight, Miguel? Who favors the fight tonight? Daryl Hoskins. Where you from, brother? Uh, it's going to be a really good fight. It's going to be a really good fight. There will be an upset as far as what people are thinking. Typically, I'm going to break down who took a better punch late in the fight. Think about that. When you take a better punch in a fight, the thing about that is, cuz both of these dudes hitting hard. It's the ninth round. I got it on the box right now. They hitting hard late. Any one of these guys make a mistake, the other one's going to sleep. And it's a force punch. It's a power punch. It's not he's short circuited me knockout. Like Zab Judah and Castile Zoo. Pull up Zab Judah, Castile Zoo. Zoo spelled TSYUZ. No, excuse me, TSYU. Judah versus Zoo. Short circuit. Boom, right there. Just a tap on the chin. That's what'll happen. If you don't pay close attention to what's really going on in fights, see, what I understand is because boxing is my real life. So I see things that most people aren't paying attention to. So that's what I'm trying to make sure that y'all have. Because when you watch boxing, it's going to be so much better. A lot of the times there are guys that you don't prefer to see. I remember people used to say Bernard Hopkins was a boring fighter. And what that let me know about those people is they don't understand boxing, because that dude was doing a lot of the things. And now that he was doing a lot of those type things, people like Canelo Alvarez was able to take a lot of his defensive prowess and use it today. Hence is why in Triple G1, people thought Canelo lost. But actually, there are people who thought he won, because when he was on defense, his body was acclimating to 160. It was obvious he was tired too. But he was rolling everything, including the punches that landed, because he learned how to roll punches. Chavez didn't roll punches, and I'm talking about Chavez Sr., right? Now, Eric Morales was that dude. El Terrible. And of course, because his name was Eric as well, you got to understand that was one of my favorite fighters of all time, Eric Morales, El Terrible. If you don't know about these guys, they're popcorn and beer action fighters with style. Canelo picked up a lot of things from El Terrible. That fade punch, throwaway punches, feint punches, these kind of things that we teach to our trainers all around the world. It's undefendable. You can't defend it. El Terrible beat a lot of guys that he shouldn't have beat. And not only did he beat them, he knocked them out only because he had different levels of teachings. He had stuff that professors teach you, not the things that you go to a boxing gym, a regular, typical boxing gym, and learn. They're the boxing entities, and there are only three on Mount Rushmore. And you're going to learn from that one. That's going to have the depths. That's the people that wrote the book of boxing. There are only three, and one is at the top. It doesn't matter what the other two, you can argue those names all you want. It's irrelevant. One guy wrote the book of boxing. Everybody else followed, added to it, and made it permeate. And when it's all said and done, I don't care whether rhyme or reason. When you look at people that had that skill set, like Eric Morales, look, man, you're not going to get that at a Fugazi gym. You're not going to get that anywhere unless you're dealing with one of the three-headed monsters. And I'm ever so thankful to have that lineage. And because I know the difference. Because before getting it, I was one of the typical guys who knew some cool stuff and really understood it. But man, when I learned that there are real levels to it, and I was able to look at boxing on television totally different, because I was just like you, and 99% of you are nowhere near the level that I've just seen and witnessed and been a part of. So therefore, I know you don't know that kind of stuff. You can learn it from YouTube, and you can't buy no downloads that's going to teach you that, because nobody's giving away the Bible of boxing. You might get some stuff and from all of these trainers out here, but they never giving you the Bible of boxing. The Bible, because it's only three people that have their scripture on it. And so you're not getting that stuff. So when you start seeing it materialize, you know it's real. And so special shouts out to my brothers, all the members in the School of Boxing. People thought you couldn't really understand and learn the kind of stuff that'll change your life, change your career, change the complexity of what your impact is going to be on the game until we came along. And that's what we are doing. So that's why we share this information. So make sure you pay close attention when we out here giving you the information, and you go up there and visit the site. When you see stuff up there, you're looking at people who came from zero to made it to the point that you see them in. All those people. And then you start to see it permeate off of the screen. You can't fake that stuff. That came because I got an opportunity to learn the kind of stuff that fighters like El Terrible and Bernard Hopkins learn. And Canelo was able to pick that stuff up. Canelo is not a Mexican style fighter. Canelo is almost totally complete. But last week, he showed that last wrinkle, because he would have beat that dude if he would have just applied one simple tactic over and over again. And I can tell you at the end, if you guys, if this video gets 100 likes while I'm on the live stream, I'll tell you. Somebody If you type 100 likes, if you type 1,000 likes in the comments, I'll tell you what it is that he could have done and would have totally made the difference in that fight 1,000%. And then it'll get around to get back to Eddie Reynoso. Those guys, they be watching. All trainers watch the educators of boxing. I'm not some dude that comes on and just posts boxing videos. I did it for 3 decades. I learned from one of the three on Mount Rushmore who wrote the book of boxing. All right. And the other two are impacted in my circle. So for that, I can speak to it. But you understand that amount of boxing that you understand, you just imagine if someone placed a book and said, read this book and you'll understand almost every single layer of boxing. Would you do it? Would you read the book? If someone said, if I give you this book, and believe me, it's like 20 of those, but that one is so full. That's one that's so full. I think this one's 74 pages, top to bottom, though. Would you do it? Do you really want to know what boxing is? And I don't care if you're a girl, I don't care if you're a kid. If you want to know boxing, because one thing I know about boxing, people love it. They love it. They like go crazy over it. If you were able to read and understand and get a full understanding, at least theory wise, about boxing, would you do it? Would you read the book if you had an opportunity to read and see what goes into boxing training like for real? Because it ain't none of the stuff you see. Nobody's going to give you access to that. Not 24/7, not all access, none of them, not Fight Camp 360. Nobody's getting access to what really happens in the real boxing gym. You know what you're going to show them, but you're not going to show them your secrets. So, but would you do it? Just type yes in the comment box. Yes, I would, or I don't really understand English, because a lot of people are not. Therefore, if you're a Spanish person, or Latino, period, we have a translator, but we are needing someone to translate um, our book, one of the books. And so if you like a job, we'll contract you to do that, make you a nice piece of money to do the translation, so we can make sure that our Mexican partners can read it as well. All right. So, and you can make even more if you do it audibly. If you read it and record it, you'll also get paid. That's an entirely different chunk right there, though. So, if so, let me know. Or if you just know someone, let us know and message us or leave a message on our website. I'm about to get some of these comments because I know I see a lot of people dropping comments. Let me see. I see my man from YouTube. Hey, YouTube's in the house. Renee Box. What's up, Renee Box? See, I know the name. Say, let me know if I'm saying it right. Is it Reen or Renee? That's my people. YouTube's in the building. YouTube's in the building. YouTube is out punching Facebook. Facebook, what's good? And Instagram, you know, Instagram, a bunch of pretty boys. They ain't about no real boxing life. I'm joking. Instagram give me mad love. I ain't following nobody. I got 100,000 people that follow me over there. So mad love, mad shout out to my people over here at Instagram. Tag your best friend. Tell them to come watch this post. Let me see. I saw my man Dwayne. Dwayne said that Zab, that was a turnaround in his career. Heck, that was at the beginning. It definitely did. But no, it just basically exposed something that Zab always had to deal with. And he just had that cleft chin, and I ain't talking about cleft chin like with the dimple. I mean cleft chin like you clip it and it's clipped. But Zab Judah was a heck of a fighter, explosive, savage talent. Just could throw punches from every angle, the most difficult punches to defend, but he didn't add one element that I learned from the greats and people who are like, you know, Coach Kenny Adams, the smartest man on the planet right now, when it comes down to boxing, because 2 Olympic tenures and over 172 champions. That's just unreal. It's a privilege to be just in his downline, which I am. It's insane to know that a man, but guys like that showed the ability to punch on the move, changing angles while and punch. There's a skill in drills to develop that skill set. And trust me, if you don't understand that, you will be really, really short when it comes down to your Cummins, shortcomings for short. Remember, get your lemon water. Special shouts out to the sponsors, Jab Juice for the Apple Watch, the branding wizards for people in the fight game, gym owners, trainers, elite coaches, people in the top 10. They take what you're doing and you see them up here in the corner and they take you to the next level like I did. I got 500,000 subscribed and over 6-7 million that tune into me every month. I can't put it past anything. That is who has aided us and blessed us. So Jab Juice, go to jabjuice.com and check them out. If you're a trainer, coach, or fighter or business owner that needs, and you're from the combat world and you need your stuff turned on, you're tired of getting 3 likes and 30 views, reach out. They'll turn your stuff to the next level. Jabjuice.com. Who do I think going to be able to adjust their strategy sooner? I don't quite understand that question. Who do you think will be able to adjust their strategy soon? Well, they both are going to adjust, but I think one fighter, which in this question, one of the fighters has several more technical skills, and that matters. But what you have to look at is Hagler Hearns. Sometimes you have to throw the fight strategy out the window and decide, when you look back at the fight, I don't want to fight no more. I got to go after it. This dude got more skills than me. I may have gotten a draw, but I think it'll be tougher to fight this guy again. So I got to go out there and throw something at him that I don't think. And you know what? More fighters need to do that, because I remember Lennox Lewis versus Bruno. So there was 2 fighters from the UK, and Bruno had them long arms. He wasn't as tall as Lennox, but he had a longer jab. And when Bruno threw that jab on Lennox, Lennox couldn't get his boxing game on. Manuel Stewart was lost, not for where Lennox Lewis said he got all the boxing skills tonight. He's sharp. He's on his game. Let's see how good he can fight. Need I say more? Next round, the fight was over. Lennox came out and just threw nothing but the bombs at him. Over, under, hooks, uppercuts. He just beat him up. And sometimes, if you're too good a boxer, you don't know how to fight. And Castano has the ability to just come out, because Charlo starts a little bit late. He warms up as the fight goes on. Smart advice would be go at him. Because if it go to distance, the guy who had the better skills, the amount of skills technically, is going to win the rematch. Go back in history. That's just going to be the story. And when you match them up, that's just what it is. It's not bias. It's just the reality of things. Canelo versus Triple G. Canelo's more verse. Canelo's more verse. He wins the rematch. And he won it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to come back to the fight and be worse. You're going to be sharper than you were. And that's what you got to think of. Let me see. Do you know who is my inspiration master? No, who's your inspiration? Miguel. Miguel asked that. I got a couple of guys that I think, you know what I got, Miguel? But put it down in the comment box. Who I have a guy, I got a footwork guy, I got a hand skills guy. Hands down, Morales is my guy, hands down with his hand skill. And we call that hand checking. All right. The guys think they can defend your punches. And they thought they could defend Rocky Marciano. They thought they could defend Jack Dempsey because they were big punches. And then when you get in the ring with them, you're like, you can't defend them. You thought you could do Tyson, but you can't defend it. He hand checking. That's what it is. You know, you think you can do it. You can't defend Eric Morales. He had to get old before anybody can do anything. And you still couldn't do anything. The fight before his last fight that he had forever, man, he lost the fight, but boy, did he destroy dude. I can't even remember who it was, but it goes to show you, man, there's a level of boxing skills that y'all don't know about. You know, you watch boxing and whatever the commentator and whoever the expert is in the corner or on the mic tells you, that's what you know. Or if you watch a YouTube video, you know that, but you don't really know the stuff. Just that's just like in the football arenas. You know, running up the middle, receiver catching the ball, you know, the quarterback throwing, defense, but you don't know because football is a dictionary of knowledge, like so many different things that you got to learn, an entire book. And you don't really memorize a book of nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it's one book that everybody should kind of know, whether no matter what religion is, whatever that Bible is for you, the Quran, whatever, you got to know it. Who knows the whole thing? So in a sport, we call it the Bible of boxing. The book of it's the Bible of boxing. You got to know that. Nobody's willing to learn that. That's why you got professors. And I'm a professor because I'm an author and a writer, and I educate from a podium of experience. And that's the difference, man. And guys like Eric Morales, man, you can't defend that dude. Tyson couldn't defend that. It's just, only they can beat themselves. 100 likes. Let's go. Renee, you're funny, guy. Tracy, man, but you smack talking. Good one. Hey, Tracy. You know what though? It must be good because you still on my show. So thank you for hanging tight, even though I'm smacking, but I gotta do it, brother, because I wasn't even planning to do this. But when I watched that fight and I saw how really tight the matchup, I said, what'll be great if my guys and my people had knowledge on how to really make bets tonight. So if you guys, like I said, go over to DraftKings and do your betting. I love Charlo. He's maturing as a boxer, as a man. I hope he doesn't get overly aggressive. And see, this is the thing. Thanks, man. Reggie put the 1,000 likes down there. I like that. But the thing about this is this. He was kind of motivated by Errol Spence going up against Ugas. He saw what Errol Spence did, but I'm telling you, Castano is not Ugas. Castano is a monster. Ugas got destroyed from the beginning to the end, except for that one little round where he clipped Spence because Spence was kind of, his mouthpiece came out. That was an accident kind of deal. Look, man, Castano is a monster in that ring. I just think no matter how hard you hit that guy, Man, he is like Chavez in that instance, and ferocious like Vargas, but he got the pressure like Marciano. He just keep coming hard. Canelo, that Floyd generalship, ring generalship, yeah, yeah. Even though the same Floyd, man, yeah, yeah. That was good. That was a good one, Reggie. I kind of missed the end. The church finger. Let me see. I don't know what that means. Love your knowledge. I'm imagining. Um, you're from Canada. Good. Canada in the building from Detroit. Cool. Nice. Across from Detroit. Well, cool. Troy Watson. Most people don't know anything about boxing. Well, yeah. Well, but they're fans, and it's great to know that fans are really, really into the boxing game. So remember this who's overlooking how tough the first fight was. Now, I think they both are. I think both of them are at the gym and people are blowing smoke in their ears like you're gonna get them this time, you're gonna knock them out, and you forget how tough the fight was until the third round. The reality is this: when you see fighters setting themselves up by overlooking how tough something was, I think this time I think Jamel Charlo is really, really looking at Errol Spencer's fight and knowing how good he is as a boxer. He's seeing himself in the future, and I just don't know if he is forgetting how tough the first fight was. Now maybe he's deciding I'm a box around him and I'm just going to use my footwork. Then the fight's a lot easier. But I do think he's really thinking more about how much he's going to dominate opposed to how tough the first fight was. Because if you keep it in mind how tough the first fight was, you'll be super sharp, razor slick, and you'll place your punches well and be defensively responsible a lot more. That's facts. So that's what I weigh in on that. Who won the championship rounds? Who watched that first fight? If not, go over to YouTube because they'll have the whole fight on. Go to Showtime and watch the whole fight. Who won the championship rounds? I think Charlo won the championship rounds, but not 1 second of those championship rounds did it look like Castano was not coming to knock his head off. That's a dangerous man. That basically balances that out. So it makes that really not relevant because it wasn't like when he watch it when he gets home with his trainer that they're not going to say, look at what you could have done, but you were so focused on that one punch that you didn't do the things. And oh man, that's what makes this kind of fight very, very, very tough. But like I said, I'm gonna give you the answer to who's going to win this fight. There's a lot of people tuned in over here on Instagram. It's just basically if you answer that question, who looked more confident in the end? Both of them. That's why that is like choose your poison. Both of them. They both look the part. And when it's all said and done, when you fight, there's a you're not the same person at the beginning that you are in the end of the fight. When these guys got to the end of that fight, they both had transformed. I'm gonna take it back to Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvelous Marvin Hearns. I mean, Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Well, that was a mistake. Sugar Ray Leonard, when he fought Hagler, he lost 12 pounds in the fight. Now you wrap your head around that. You can't even lose 12 pounds in 2 months. This dude lost 12 pounds in an hour. Now you wrap your head around that. So you might feel strong at camp, and you might feel strong at the beginning of fights, but over a course of the fight, you lose a lot of gigawatts, and a lot of steam come off your punches. But the difference is both of these guys got a lot of power. Special shouts out to Jab Juice, marketing wizard, the brand wizard of marketing for the combat world, taking regular name brands, regular trainers, regular coaches, and gym owners to the next pinnacle, to the pinnacle of what their abilities and opportunities are. So make sure you check these boys out, and you know what they are. You know who it is. Jab Juice, the brand wizards. We all need brand recognition because every single one of you, in some light, you are a brand, but who's helping you build that? That's what you got to pay close attention to. So make sure you get where people going to permeate and take what you do and take it to the next level, show you how to do that. That's Jab Juice. So go visit them at jabjuice.com. Jabjuice.com. Back to the reflection, Vargas versus Mosley, too. It was a good fight. The first round, second round, third, about the sixth round was over. Shane Mosley power boxing style, meaning when he sat down on his punches, everything, once he chooses to sit down, is harder than you've ever been hit. That was hardest Vargas had ever been hit. And he fought Trinidad and got knocked down 5 times. He didn't need to get knocked down 5 times with Shane. Shane was lower to the ground and he hit him with punches that would have once again knocked out a mule. He was hitting him with everything, including the kitchen sink. And I mean, he literally was wiping his nose with that left hook. That's what happens when the rematch happens. You get better based upon the mistakes. So, who has more dimensions? Charlo has more dimensions. That's bottom line. Uh, it's obvious. Castano has hand skills, and he has a very high IQ when it comes to where to throw the punches. Vicious, but he leans over his front toe, which will set him up for one of Charlo's most favorite punches, which is the uppercut. You're going to see that tonight because they know that they missed throwing that a lot of times. Charlo knocked out Ruben. Was it Ruben? And yeah, Erickson Ruben, who lives down here in South Florida, knocked him out with an uppercut. He ain't never been the same. Well, he did go on a winning streak, but he just lost to Fandora in a bad kind of way. A very rough fight. He was winning when the fight was stopped by his corner, but you give your corner the reason to stop it. It was only a round to go, but he was just he had taken too many punches, but he fought gallantly and he really was winning, but he just couldn't take another punch because I'm obviously is orbital bone. When you take uppercuts and when you power box, that means you do a lot of fade punches and things like that. So when he does that, it's very interesting that when you are boxing and you see a guy throwing shots and they don't look hard, and then the guy looks up like Jersey Joe Walcott against Rocky Marciano, and it looks like somebody's been hitting him in the face with a bat with hammers on it. That's a different kind of thing. Meldrick Taylor versus Chavez, one. Those guys got different stuff in their hands. Granted, so most flaws. That's that's who will lose. I told you I'd tell you who was going to lose at the end of the fight. The guy who has more flaws in a rematch, that's the guy that will lose. Barring something lightning in a bottle like Roy Jones versus Tarver 2, pull it up on YouTube. Roy Jones had the speed. Roy Jones kind of had the power because he was coming back down in weight. So his power was there, but the person who has the most flaws, Roy had the most flaws than Tarver. Tarver came in there with pronounced pure boxing. Let me see. Let me see my man. I think watching that Spence fight that he's not ready for Crawford. Oh, yeah. To my brother, Paul Harabra from out here in I'm gonna call it warm. I never knew how to say that. Warmambo, Aussie. Aussie. Special shouts out to my brother Paul Harabra in the School of Boxing. He's taking his brand to the next level. Breakfast time. Oh yeah, no doubt, man. Enjoy it. It's about to be evening. It's evening down here. We're about to have what we call down here in South Florida golden hour. That's when the sky will turn pink, purple, maroon, all of these amazing colors, and just gaze as the sun just settles, and everything just turns golden. Your skin turns gold, and you can just feel the beauty in the air. Everybody just looks like they got a filter on. It's called golden hour. Anybody from South Florida down here or California, they know what it's like too. When you get that beautiful sun year round, when the evening comes to set, the clouds change. They look like people. It's beautiful. It's nothing like that in the world. Nothing. It's just the most beautiful thing. But special shouts out to Paul. He's being impacted by jab juice as well. The leaders in branding, those from the combat world. Go check them out, jabjuice.com. If you're in the combat world and you're ready to level up, really get yourself in the front lane, that's how you go about doing it. Don't play around. Get your stuff and take it up to the next level. Get that impression out here in social media and help build your brand up. When people pull you up on the internet, it's a powerful thing. Let me see. My brother Otis, the last 14 seconds of this Jermaine Taylor Frock. Yo, my gosh. You know what, Otis? And now all the fights that was running through my head, that was definitely one. That was definitely that one didn't come up, but it was one that I was trying to pull it up in my head. I'm like, there's one fight that really I know that fight was absolutely pull up Jermaine Taylor versus Carl Frock. And that happened maybe was it about 2011, 2012, 20 between 2011, 20 gosh, man, that was during the Super 6. Man, that was right in that hotbed. That's when Frock was getting ready to head out the door soon. But man, that fight was crazy good. Check it out over on YouTube. Man, that was a great fight. Go to this guy's timeline right now, all of you who are watching, and check it out. He just released his book. So special shouts and congratulations to Otis. Boy, you supposed to come on the show the other day. Make sure that you get yourself set up, brother. And these people love to see, and they need to see something and read something. So, like I said, this generation of boxers will be readers. They'll be educated men like Gene Tunney. They'll be smart. They'll be thinkers. Then they'll be retiring before the age of 32 with a whole lot of money in the bank and traveling around the world, riding in nice boats, flying in planes, having the kind of lifestyle that they never dreamed about having. But that's what's going to happen basically because there is a jab juice. There is a school of boxing, Top Trainer U, Championship Academy, all of the things that we've donated to the game so that that is going to be possible. Boxing is more than just fighting. It's about utilizing that to get you to where you need to go. So make sure you take the time and go over to jabjuice.com and get yourself a little conversation consultation. That's all free information. But remember this, when you watch that fight tonight, and I told you that if somebody hit that 1,000 like, I would tell you all that Canelo needs to do if he does rematch him is turn the corner consistently, utilize Ali's footwork. He did it for a reason. Greats like Archie Moore understood the mastery of the ring. If Canelo utilizes the ring and instead of boxes this guy, he sets his traps, pulls them to him, and makes him walk into punches that he doesn't walk into, then start power boxing, it's a totally different fight. No one is averse from the other person when they got great footwork. No one subjected to not lose. You will be in that lane where now what you didn't see coming is here and you can't get out of that quicksand. It's like a tornado. Once it gets your head spinning, you can't figure out how to get out of it. That's what great footwork will do. And for those of you who don't understand that, you need to definitely go up to the top of this page that you're watching this from, click right into that bit.ly link and go into our website and get your education in boxing and then start watching boxing and see what happens. That's all I got for right now, man. My predictions in, chopping it up with some great people. Thank you guys for taking the time to chop it up with me over here at Master Boxing. When you get your master's degree in boxing, I see you guys soon in the winner's circle. And to my man, now I'll finish crunching on my nuts and my my berries and my lemon water. Be blessed, guys. I see you soon after the fights. Peace.